Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of my sustainability podcast. Today we will be focusing on ecological footprints and what my personal ecological footprint is. There's a website that allows you to calculate your own ecological footprint. It asks questions about your house, your food consumption, your traveling norms, and other questions about how you use our planet's resources. It then takes that information and calculates your ecological footprint. But what is an ecological footprint exactly? The idea of the ecological footprint was first developed by William Rees and Mathis Wackernagel in 1995. It provides an idea of the natural resources necessary to meet the needs of each person. Your ecological footprint is measured in global hectares, or GHA for short. It is the amount of land that is necessary to produce the resources that an individual consumes. 1 hectare is approximately 2.47 acres. Now that we have a grasp on what an ecological footprint is, we can get back to the website and my ecological footprint. I went to the website, answered the questions, and it spit out an estimate of how many hectares it takes for my consumables. It gave me an ecological footprint of 5.8 global hectares. 5.8 is higher than the average for the world, which is 2.7. This means that it would take about 14.3 acres to produce the resources that I consume. When looking at the summary of my ecological footprint, it shows that about 65% of my ecological footprint is my carbon footprint. Most of the resources that I use are fossil fuels, and that is what creates my large carbon footprint. Today, I'm going to focus on the large carbon footprint part of my ecological footprint, and more specifically, the use of fossil fuels in transportation. The biggest reason my carbon footprint is so high is because of the great distances that I drive every day. Every day I commute approximately 15 miles to go to and from work. Over the course of 5 days, the work week, I travel approximately 75 miles to just commute to and from my job. That does not include the many errands that I have to run and the weekends. My weekends are very busy with traveling between both of my parents' houses and my girlfriend's house. With all the traveling I do every week, I approximate that I travel around 100 to 125 miles every week, every 7 days. Although my car gets approximately 25 miles to the gallon, that is still a lot of gas or fossil fuel that is getting burned every week. That is the most fuel-efficient vehicle that I own, too. I mentioned in the first episode that I am a car enthusiast, and cars are a large part of my life. I have 3 Ford Mustangs that I work on at home. These cars are not fuel-efficient because they have V8s from the mid-60s and have zero emissions equipment to speak of. I can approximate that these cars get about 10 to 12 miles per gallon, which is significantly less than the 25 of my regular car. These vehicles that I have just for fun are impacting my ecological footprint significantly. I asked the AI program ChatGPT about how driving this much would affect my overall footprint. I asked ChatGPT, how much CO2 would I produce annually if I drove 100 miles a week with my car getting 25 miles per gallon? ChatGPT then spit out a simple formula to determine the CO2 that is produced each year by my car. At 100 miles a week, we can approximate that I drive 5,200 miles per year. If my car gets exactly 25 miles per gallon, then that is around 208 gallons of fuel per year that is getting used. If burning 1 gallon of gas produces 19.6 pounds of CO2, then multiplying that by 208 gallons of gas means that my car produces approximately 1.85 metric tons of CO2 each year. I have owned the car now for 2 years, so we can calculate that in the time that I have owned and driven my car, that it has produced 3.7 metric tons of CO2. My car is not the only contributing factor to my carbon footprint, because some of the materials that are used in my shelter are produced by factories that produce carbon emissions. Although the miles that I drive are not the only contributor to my ecological footprint, it is a large factor and the factor that I'm most interested in. Thank you for listening to episode 2, and I can't wait for you to hear episode 3.